last couple of years, athletes have been growing their brands like never before. Social media has given us a platform to share our story and show our sport. There are a lot of sports out there that are underappreciated and less mainstream and just don't get the attention that they deserve. And social media is changing the game for that. We as athletes have never been more accessible and more relatable than what we are now. We have the opportunity to share what we do and put ourselves in front of millions of eyes. We've got so much to talk about in this video. Let's get into it. So how is it that social media is actually changing athletes' lives? For me, it comes down to three main points, and the first one of that being personal branding. Social media gives the opportunity to put yourself in front of a huge audience. It allows you to promote your sport and promote yourself. Because whether you like it or not, every athlete is a brand, and social media gives the opportunity to build that brand. Point number two is going to be building community. As much as these platforms have become businesses over the last few years, they are still very much so social platforms. You have the opportunity to build an audience, to connect with fans, other athletes, and potential sponsors. And point number three is going to be the ability to monetize. Historically, Olympic level sport and national level sport has been very underpaid. And if you have an audience on a platform, you got the ability to work with sponsors and partners and start making some money. So let's talk a little bit about personal branding and what that means. Because it's no secret that people love athletes and they love sports, whether that be for inspiration or entertainment. People have always looked up to athletes. As an athlete, you have a huge opportunity to grow your brand on social media, but the amount of time that you are an athlete is very short. So it's super important to capitalize on that while you have the chance. During your career, you're going to have a lot of eyes on you as an athlete. People love to see what you're doing. People love to follow the journey and see what you're up to. So it's important, like I said, capitalize on that. Whether you're sharing competition photos or videos or behind the scenes training content or just more about your life, people want to feel like they can relate to you and be part of the journey. Athletes are a very small percentage of people on the planet, and not many people have the chance or the opportunity to do what we get to do. Think about it this way. If you were to Google someone right now or search up someone, look for information on them, where are you going? You're going to their Instagram or you're going to Google them? And most likely, Google is going to take you to their Instagram page. So it's super important to have a great place for these people to land and learn more about you. Just think about the athletes that you may have looked up to so far in your career. A lot of times you consider them heroic or at another level, but social media gives you the chance to humanize them and bring them back to just the aspect of them being people as well. So let's bring this back around a little bit. Essentially, your brand is your reputation. And as a brand, you're also a business that you are the CEO of. Every business needs marketing in order to make money, and now you have a huge platform in order to market yourself to potential brands and sponsors. These platforms give us the chance to have the reach we've never had before. As athletes in smaller sports, we just don't get the broadcast time. So putting energy into social media is a great way to expand your personal brand. Between Sarah and I, we probably get 3 or 4 messages every month on how to grow your social media platforms as an athlete. And I'm definitely going to get into a few more tips and tricks in the future videos. But a few places you can start are actually just starting. Most people don't realize how important it is to actually just start posting and post consistently. That's one of the biggest things you can do when you start posting as an athlete on these platforms. Social media is definitely not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a long game, and you need to continue posting in order to grow that platform and grow that audience. Let's move on to point number 2, and that's going to be building your community. This kind of refers a little bit back to people's love for sports and athletes, but now you have a chance to connect with those people and build an audience around what you do. You got the chance to share any kind of content you want. It can be about your life, about your story, about competition, about training. The list goes on and on. You can share whatever you want. People are going to love to latch onto that and be part of the journey. This can be a bit of a positive or negative, but people have very easy access to you. You are just a DM away. Having that access to you can be super beneficial in order to build community and build audience, interact with people that might be just following the journey. They may have questions about your sport because they may also do the same sport. I get messages all the time that are track cyclists just asking for a little bit of advice and what I might recommend. You may not even feel like it, but even just posting, people can find a lot of value and inspiration from your content. Okay. Let's get into the last point, which is definitely the biggest point in all of this. and that is you can actually make money on these platforms, whether that be directly through branded posts and branded sponsored posts, or indirectly by having sponsors that you post about. Over the last few years, in the last couple years more specifically, we've seen a lot of big companies move a lot of money and marketing dollars away from traditional marketing and onto social media, which definitely provides a bigger opportunity for you as an athlete to take advantage of. These big brands, a lot of them do love athletes and they love being part of the journey. You having an audience for them to monetize is very valuable to them as a brand and valuable to you as an athlete. It's most definitely nothing new that these companies are using athletes for marketing, but it is new that they have access to so many different athletes through social media platforms and so many different audiences because of that. It is not uncommon to see an athlete with 100,000 or 1 million followers, but that doesn't mean that you can't monetize if you have a smaller platform as well. These brands will put money into marketing at all levels, so don't count yourself out if you don't have 1 million followers. At the end of the day, these brands want to make money just like you. So having an audience for them to work with and work with you is super important to both parties. What you need to remember is that sports have huge reach, and you as an athlete are part of that reach. Brands really want that, and they want to attach themselves to that. If you start building an audience on these platforms, the brands are going to come and the money will follow. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't also talk about a bit of the downfall with social media and being an athlete. As athletes, we're already under extreme pressure mentally and physically, and throwing social media into the mix can definitely add to that. Finding the balance between the two is something that is super important and something that I find is still a work in progress for me. I'm getting there, but it's not perfect and it probably never will be perfect. I know that when I get close to races, it's time to park the social media and focus on the task at hand, because number one priority for me still is being an athlete. When you have an audience, it comes along with a bit of extra pressure and scrutiny, and knowing how to manage that and manage that as a responsibility you have to your audience is something that does take a bit of time to learn. Managing social media alongside being an athlete is something that is very difficult and an added responsibility, but it's something that is so rewarding and can be so worth it in the end. So this is going to be the first video in a series I'll be making over the next few weeks and few months about building your brand as an athlete on these platforms. If there's anything you guys want to know about building your brand as an athlete, please let me know down in the comments below. I'll be happy to include that in future videos about the topic. That's all I've got on this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you'll follow along for more of athlete branding journey we're going to talk about in the next few weeks. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.